Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So there'll be something from the week, then it'll be all about the entertainment, the games, the movies, the TV shows, other things that I think are entertaining. Yeah. If you're one of our lovely YouTube subscribers, big thank you to you. Have a high five while you're at it. And if you're an audio subscriber, whether it's SoundCloud or iTunes, big high five to you. So here we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Warning. This podcast will contain yawning, drink slurping, more yawning, a grumpy old man being grumpy and old. If any of that I've just mentioned is not your thing, this might be the podcast to skip. And this is the point where it's like, yeah, that's one job I didn't do, so 2 seconds. Yeah. Fell off the wagon, didn't I? Here we go. Ready? First one on the podcast. Oh yes. I didn't fall off the wagon at all. I was up very late last night and allowed myself 24 hours of drinking energy drinks. So, yeah. I'm in a funky mood which involves being tired, and I'd like to start by saying everyone and everything can, what's that thing? Fuck off. It's hard to explain. I don't feel like I'm in a bad mood. I feel like I just want everything, everyone and everything to go away, and I want silence, because it's like I went to set all the stuff up for the podcast, and I moved a table, and the table leg got caught around a wire, and I was like, yeah, it's never done that before. It's gonna do it today though, isn't it? Got a few little bits. Yeah, I mean it's pretty much a standard podcast, very standard. So a few bits from the week, some TV, some movie, some games. You never know, there might even be a little bit of VR this week. Don't want to give you any spoilers, no spoilers. It's going to be real disappointing when we get to the VR section. I'm like, yeah, I didn't play any VR this week. Ha! So, I wrote on my list, this is how the list goes. It goes, being excited, not getting enough sleep, and the Super Bowl. Does anybody think that all of those things connect to each other? So, that is a ruse, because they don't all connect to each other. Slurpy. My fear is I'm going to put that much caffeine into my body that I won't be able to sleep tonight, and then we'll really know about it. How's this for irony though? I drink, I'd say conservatively I probably drink 10 cups of coffee a day. Today I think I've had 3. It's just a bit of a weird one, really. So last we met, I think I was talking about buying stuff on the internet. So I can't tell you the item that I have bought. Ooh, spoilers. Can't tell you the item I have maybe bought for a few reasons. Not all of them I can go into right now, and that's not for any reason other than I try not to jinx stuff, because when you've got time to wait, long time to wait, things can go wrong. Anything can happen. So I may have bought something, but it's like kind of like pre-ordering something or ordering something. I bought tickets for a live event a while ago, and I was like, oh yeah, I really look forward to that. It's 4 months away. Right? Yeah, I'll probably look forward to it more close to the time. Anyway, as some of you may know, when I was a child, I used to get sick. I used to get ill from excitement. I've probably told this story many times. It was only... You see, I was old enough to remember it happening on a series of occasions, but then I don't remember it happening past a certain point. So I think maybe past the age of probably 10, I don't think I remember it happening anymore. And I think there was a series of coping mechanisms, of which some are still in play now. So I think I was sort of maybe taught try and forget about stuff. So that's what I do now. So I've sort of ordered. Let's go with ordered. I've ordered this thing, but I've got a long time to wait. And it always brings to mind that South Park episode where Cartman freezes himself because when the Wii was coming out, because he couldn't bear to wait for it. I feel the pain in that one, but it is very much X amount of time to wait. So I have this thing at the moment where I'm like just going about my day, plodding along, and then all of a sudden I'll remember. And then I'm like, oh, it's so exciting. Oh, really excited. And then I'm like, but it's so far away. And then I have to put it out of my mind. But yeah, it's sort of that process. I'll give you an example. Something we'll talk about in a bit. It was the Super Bowl. Probably the best way to say is like the early hours of this morning. Time of the year that's very exciting for me. I don't know if you know, but I do a NFL podcast. So it's a big thing for me. Get very excited. There's a whole thing that goes on. You got to have your American food. You got to have your American snacks. You got to have your American drinks. You got to have your American. Well, that might be it. I suppose American activity, isn't it? So it's like a full day, a full evening, and then, in a lot of cases, the next day of utter disappointment, for one reason or another. I do find the more Super Bowls I've been a part of, the more disappointing I find them. But we're skipping out. So I was like, I got super excited, and I got excited about like telling the children, I've got this really exciting thing that's going to happen in. It's not even like on a few weeks. It's like in a few months. So So it's that, and it's like, then you have to like keep talking about it, but then that like builds the excitement, and then I'm like, oh my god, it's too exciting. I don't want to be excited. I've got to dial it back. I've started reading books. I was reading part of a book today, which I might purchase. I've been watching videos, and it's this big thing, this big event, but not yet, and not for a long time. So it's like, yay, 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 and I think I reach a point where I'm just like, I don't care anymore. And I do, and I do care, because it's, you get these things and it's exciting, and I'm like looking at like the list and like being excited. January and February are like the worst months of the years. January features a Monday called Blue Monday. If you don't know what Blue Monday is, I would suggest maybe looking it up on the internet or something, or don't, if you don't know what it is, because it's super depressing. February, the thing that I find interesting about February is it's the shortest month, and I'm sure that's done on purpose, because you're so sick and tired of January's bullshit that by the time you get to February, you're like, really? More of this bullshit? So I think that's kind of why February's as short as it is. So, it was, I remember like a while back, it was like this importance of having things to look forward to, especially, January, February going into March. So, Super Bowl, something to look forward to. Super Bowl Sunday, it's a big thing, big day. The playoffs, playoffs. The playoffs are played in January. Some of, you do miss a week and stuff. So when I was going back a few years, not that many, but a few, I would work a system where I could book tattoos January, February time. So you get through Christmas, you get through New Year, and then straight away you're like, I've got the playoffs to look forward to. I've got games that I got at Christmas to work through January, February. Maybe if you're lucky. I've got Super Bowl and all this, and then I'd be like, and on this day, I'm gonna get a tattoo. I'm gonna get a tattoo done. Again, I don't know if you know, but I have some tattoos. As the last few years have gone, more children and less money equals no tattoos. Which it's one of those. It's not like the tattoo shops are open at the moment, so swings and roundabouts in it. So all this is a good say, something to look forward to. Is you get up each day, put your trousers on one leg at a time, that sort of thing. But yeah, I sort of made a note of like being excited, because it's just this roller coaster of yay, yay. So I don't know what it'll be. I don't know whether I'll talk about this again until close to the time, whatever. I am trying to find, because we've kind of now had we've had the Super Bowl. That the season is done. 9 months. Come on. We've had the explosion of this thing that I've ordered. And that's like, it's going to be ongoing. but it's also kind of done. I was on a conversation with podcast alum Sam, and the crushing realization that there are no games on the horizon, and all of a sudden I was like, shit, and I need to dial back my gameplay, because I've got this pile of games to work through, but I'm getting through them, so maybe I need to dial that back a bit. So I'm looking for new exciting things. So we'll see what that brings. So, as we talked about at the start of it, 3 things from the week. Second one is not getting enough sleep. Sleep's a funny one for me. I lived a life at one point where I would get 3 hours sleep a day, go to work a day, 5 days a week. That was my life. I from an age where I could sort of decide what time to go to bed. That was me done, and I think because I lived such a restricted life in every other aspect, whenever there was any freedom in my life, it was very much I will do this to the extreme. So the moment it was like, oh, here's something you can be trusted with, it's like, cool, I'm going to abuse that as much as I possibly can. So from a particular age to probably a couple of years ago, probably that far, maybe a few more, but certainly in the last couple of years I've really reined it back. Oh, it's 12 o'clock, I should probably go to bed, whereas years ago it'd be like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, I should probably go to bed. So I lived a life of not getting enough sleep, but I could function because that was how I operated. And yeah, I was tired a lot and stuff like that. You sit in meetings and yawn my head off and stuff. But it's like being a fully functional alcoholic. Never understood that phrase. I was a fully functional sleep-deprived person. There was a point in time, I remember it vividly, there was 5 days where through varying different reasons, my lifestyle choices at that time, the way I was living that week of my life, I think over 5 days I've maybe had it was maybe 5 hours sleep. I remember going to work and I basically just started hallucinating whilst I was at work. I had to go and speak to someone. I was like, look, I'm in a bad way. I haven't slept for a week. I've started hallucinating. I think I'm going to have to go home. And that's what I did. Went to bed, sorted my life out. For the last... in fact, I can probably work it out, because I was going to say it was a month, but... Actually, it is a month. So for the last month, my sleep's been all over the place. So I've been having nights where I'm waking up multiple times in the night. Sometimes it's as simple as, getting up to go to the toilet. I presume that's an age thing. Other times it's oh, I'm awake. Oh, a cat jumped on me. Oh, it's 5 o'clock in the morning, and apparently I wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. That sort of stuff. But I felt it sort of ticking away and ticking away and ticking away. And I think I've had this accumulative effect, ultimately, where I've ended up in a point where I'm probably heavily sleep deprived. And I think in the last week, there's been 1, possibly 2 occasions where I might have had like a mini hallucination. So you know what's going to solve that out? What's going to solve that? You know what's going to solve that problem? Sort that out, don't you? That's right. Stay up until 4:30 in the morning and then start work at 9:30. I'm hoping that I will go to bed at a sensible time, get a good night's sleep. What I actually know is going to happen is I'm going to get to, let me look at the time, it's 20 to 8 now. I'm going to get to about 10:30. And that second wind's going to kick in. You know, this energy drink and that cup of coffee are going to kick in. And I'll be ready to rock and or roll. Ooh, slippy. You'll be pleased to know that is the end of the energy drink. No more slippies. Apart from when I start hitting that coffee hard. But yeah, couple of mini hallucinations. I've often thought that I maybe needed to go and see somebody about my sleep. But I never have done. Like, it is the absolute worst because I've got to that age now where I could do with a little power nap about 5 o'clock every day. But I check the time and it's like 12 o'clock and I'm like, oh yeah, it's 12 o'clock, I should really go to bed, but I'm absolutely raring to go. I heard this theory that depending on what time you were born, depends whether you're a night person or a day person. And just to give you a clue, I was born at midnight. So, yeah. A little water to wet the whistle. I seem to have a frog. I seem to have a froggy fruit. Absolutely won't be anything to do with the delicious cigar I smoked last night. Yes, sirree, Bob. So, as previously mentioned, it was the Super Bowl, and I had this thing. I was like, I'm not going to talk about the Super Bowl because I do a NFL podcast, and I don't want to spoil anything. But then I worked it out. So the NFL podcast will get recorded day after tomorrow, and will get released the day after that, which is 3 weeks before this will get released. So there's absolutely no spoilers involved if I talk about the Super Bowl. So I ummed and ahed, and in the end I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm not going to talk loads because I know it's not a subject that everybody's going to be interested in. You know, like I say, NFL podcast, if you were interested, you'd be listening to that, but and I've already covered a little bit of it, saying about the crushing disappointment that goes with watching the Super Bowl. I was in a very difficult position for this one because there was the team I wanted to win and there was the team that I knew was going to win. And lo and behold, the team I wanted to win did not win, and the team I knew was going to win absolutely won. But, and I'll probably cover this on the NFL podcast, but this is the thing, I'll get shot down if I try and cover this. But the thing I don't understand is why you would play an entire season of a sport, get to the absolute pinnacle, you've beaten every other team, you've gone all the way to the last game of the season, you turn up and you don't give it your absolute all. You don't leave blood, sweat and tears on that pitch, field, in that stadium. don't get it. It's the team I wanted to win. I wanted the Chiefs to win, for anybody that actually knows. And they were just like, oh, we've come all this way and now we're going to piss it up a fucking wall. It felt very much like watching the Panthers the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl. They had like the most amazing season. Were they 15-1? They'd lost. I think they lost one game that season because people were saying that they might get a perfect season. And then they went up against the Denver Broncos and they just didn't turn up. Now, I'm a man who loves conspiracy. Everybody knows this. And I do think that there was more to the situation than just that. But I am not a professional athlete anymore. I was never, you get it. It was a joke. I probably don't need to cover that one off. You've seen me. Body like a temple. Shaped like a temple. That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is some hot cross bun coffee. Yeah, I said it. Hot cross bun. I just. So what I wanted to talk about was in the UK, for an NFL fan, it's like, cool, I'm geared up for the game. It starts at 11:30, which in actual fact was 20-12. So 20-12. When you've attempted to entertain 3 children for nearly the entire day, and you woke up on the sofa that morning, and all the other stuff that goes with it. Yay, it's 20-12. I've now got probably in the region of 4 hours to go. And the weirdest thing was, like, Super Bowl's gone by. They generally get quicker the further they go. Like, the American audiences just need to get all of their freaking adverts in. But this one didn't. There was some really long gaps. Like, really long breaks towards the back end. And I was just getting more and more pissed off. Because the whole point was, that game was lost in the first quarter. They were done in the first quarter. So yeah, Tom Brady now, one man now has more Super Bowl rings than any team in the NFL. Like the most Super Bowls any team has is 6, and he has 7. It's freaking ridiculous. As anybody who does listen to the NFL podcast is concerned, or will know, he's not my favourite person. Let's just put it that way. Hot cross bun coffee, yes please. Right, that's it. I'm not going to talk about it anymore. Let's move on, because I've got a few bits to cover. So I watched episode 4 of American Gods Series 3. Now then, last week I didn't talk about episode 3 because there wasn't a huge amount to talk about. So I didn't even put it on the list, but I told you I wasn't talking about it. I have written episode 4 on the list, but more to talk about it as a concept, not about what's been going on in it. I personally feel that I give the series a lot of leeway, having read the book. I think if I hadn't read the book, I absolutely would not stick with this program. It's not even this series, it's this program. I know as a production it has a hell of a lot of problems, like a percentage of the cast just aren't in it for one reason or another. Unfortunately for me, one of the members of the cast I can't stand. I've probably covered this before, but the woman that plays his wife, I can't stand her and I can't stand the character. So it's not an amazing combination. Previously, up to this point, I was kind of on board with Ian McShane playing Wednesday. But this series, I am properly I'm really not enjoying this portrayal. Also, we've reached a point in the series where we're in the back end of the book, like the last third of the book. But as the series seems to do, it deviates often from the book. And I'm very much like, something's supposed to be happening right now, and it isn't, because you're dicking around. And I don't want you to dick around. I want you to do what was in the book, because that was good. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of issues with the book. A big one, and I don't want to spoil anything here. A big issue with the book is the end. But I won't spoil anything. Yeah. The episode ended. Episode 4, series 3 ended, and I was very much in the camp of, I'm not sure what we're trying to achieve here. I will stick with it. I don't know. In fact, I wonder if I can find out. Hey, it's that part of the podcast where he looks something up. So, oh, look at it. It's right there. Can I find out how many episodes? Episode guide 26. So is that going to be 10? How does that work? Well, how many was in the other series? 8 in the second. 8. Okay, so we've got more episodes in this series. That's interesting. Okay. Well, we will endeavour to stick with it. We keep talking about the fact that it's pretty much the only TV I watch. What is nice is that just looking at where that series will finish should be nicely in time for a programme that I am quite looking forward to, which is it's actually animated. So Amazon original animation about a superhero, but it's absolutely superheroes for adults. The trailer I watched for it was like, oh wow, that looks brutal. I want to say it was called Immortal, but it's not. It's called Invincible. I believe it's done by Robert Kirkman of Walking Dead fame. But again, probably take the time out to look it up. What did I say it was called? Invincible? Not invisible. I've probably got it wrong. Oh, no. Look at that. There you go. Yes. So Invincible, I believe, starts in March. And I'm quite looking forward to this. We've got the old J.K. Simmons doing a voice. Seth Rogen's doing a voice. Mark Hamill is doing a voice. Jason Mantzoukas, or Raffi to you and me. It's got a right old cast, and it was, Robert Kirkman. So I am looking forward to that. I'm going to stick with American Gods as best I can. borrow a Samism, I really feel like we're spinning our wheels. And we're on episode 4. I think it's always had this issue. It's like, get on with it, will you? So, yeah. Okay. Let's talk about movies. So, I want to talk about a film I watched, but I know how it's going to sound. So, I kind of need to take a deep breath. Get on with it. I watched a film called Next. Now then, I was not aware of this film's existence at all. It was on Netflix, and it was like, number 1 in the UK today, and it did the thing where it plays the little trailer, and I was like, you know what? I watched the trailer a couple of times, like flicking through Netflix and stuff. I was like, you know something, I might actually give that a go. It's a Nicolas Cage film, so I am well and truly aware of people's differing opinions on Nicolas Cage. I personally have quite a lot of time for him. I like him in a lot of the stuff he does, but I am also fully aware that he is what people that don't like him say he is. Some of his film roles are just so far out there. However, there was also Julianne Moore was in it, and I want to say, is it Jessica? Is it Jessica Biel? Now then, when I tried to look this up, oh no, it's not. Jessica Alba. No, it's Jessica Biel. There you go. You see, I should trust myself. So a little bit of something about this movie. Nicolas Cage plays a character that can see his future. He can see 2 minutes into his own future. Can't see anybody else's future. He can see 2 minutes into his future. He is a magician. That doesn't seem to have a huge amount of relevance, although I think he probably uses his seeing the future ability to help him in his act. But he also has to do, magic tricks. But he also uses it to gamble. Now, I honestly thought that was going to be like the premise. But no, they used that to draw me in, and then they pulled a fast one on me. So it's all about the fact that he keeps seeing this vision of this woman. And Julianne Moore is some kind of law enforcement agent who needs help to stop a bomb. Now that's as broad as I can give it without spoiling anything. I'm just going to give you that because I don't want to spoil it. Because I feel if I go down a certain route, I will spoil it. Which I don't want to do. If you feel like it's the sort of thing you want to watch, then you should watch it. There were points in this film where I wanted to not like it, and there were points in this film when I wanted to really like it. And what I ended up with was, it was alright that. And let's face it, nowadays, sometimes that's the best you can hope for. I saw a review for a game the other day, something that had been in my periphery, and it got one of the worst reviews I've ever seen anything get. I was like, I'll give that a miss then, yeah. So, an issue I had with this film was it broke its own rules. And then it just carried on breaking its own rules and just making it worse and worse and worse and compounding it more and more and more. And I was like, I don't feel that this is acceptable. You set out the rules of the film in the first 2 minutes. You can't then change it to suit your story. I mean, I guess you kind of can, but that's not the point. But there was a bit towards the back end, which I thought was kind of cool. And again, I can't spoil it, but they used this like method for Nicolas Cage to be able to search like a warehouse. That's all I'll say about that. And it was right about this point in time, I was like, do you know what? I think you're pissing me off. I think you're annoying me. Because you're just pissing all over your own rules. So why have your rules if you're going to do that? And right at the point, I was like, fuck you and the horse you rode in on. It flipped it on me. It like the whole film was flipped on its head. And I was like, okay, that's kind of clever. I didn't see that coming. I'm not saying it's the best film ever made, probably by a long way. I think that it was very, in a lot of ways, quite or very entertaining. Like the way that they do this, they use this 2-minute thing. Funnily enough, I then went, like a few days later, I then went on and watched Groundhog Day, which there's a lot of similarities. But again, I'll leave that there. I think it comes down to this. If you like Nicolas Cage, maybe worth giving it a shot. If you don't, probably not worth giving it a shot. It's kind of as simple as that. I enjoyed it. I think it falls into the 6.5 to 7 out of 10. So there. Speaking of movies, I watched 2 films of the same franchise. Mostly because I was like, I think I've seen at least one, if not both of these films. But I can't remember them. So I should probably watch them possibly again. The films I watched, the films in question were the films that were Red and Red 2. Here's what I can tell you about these films. Amazing casts, like the cast is off the chisane. And for the first one, that's kind of enough. Once great and well-revered actor Bruce Willis, now not so much, is the main character. John Malkovich is in it. Helen Mirren's in it. I'm talking about the first one at this point in time. There's that guy who was in some of the Bourne movies and other films. He's in. So yeah, and it's like it's based on a DC comic. It's, you know, spies and CIA and all of that sort of stuff. And the first one's fine. And having watched it, I'm like, I have seen this before. I think part of me was like, you don't necessarily need to remember this. Which, I don't know if that says something. So, I watched the second one. And let's do this. You ask me now what the second one was about. Go on, ask me. Okay. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I don't think I could tell you a single thing that happened in it. I'm trying to think now. Catherine Zeta-Jones was in it. That is... Honestly, I'm not saying it was a bad film, but it fell in the category of, why am I watching this? What's going on? Why are we doing this? Why are we bothering? I get the feeling that it's like, you know, these franchises get up and running and then it's like, oh, 1, 2, 3, call it something else for 4, call it a different name for 5, bring it back, 6. I think I can understand why there's only 2 of them, and I imagine it should have probably been left as a 1, but that never happens these days. It just, whether it's too confusing or whether it doesn't really hammer that point home, I just don't think I really cared. I think that was the problem I had with the second one. Entertaining enough, but ask me what it was about and I'd struggle to tell you anything that happened in it. I don't know if was the second one the one with the guy that was trying to kill him, or was that the first one? Because the whole premise of the first one is somebody's trying to kill him. I don't know. It might be worth watching them yourself and making your own opinion. So, question is, when I mentioned VR earlier, have I or have I not played any VR in the last week? You guys know that I wouldn't do that to you. I've been struggling. I'm not gonna lie. I've been struggling to set aside the time to play VR. The way things are in the house at the moment, it's like time is very much if something hasn't happened by a certain time of day, it's not happening. I'll give you an example. It's 8:05 Monday evening. Do you know what I know is not going to happen today? You guessed it. I'm not going to play any VR today. If it was 7:05, I wasn't sat here talking to you guys. Could very well be a VR situation. It's that sort of thing. And unfortunately, there are a few more 8:05s than there are 7:05s, if you get my meaning. However, there was a point in time where I had time during the day and I was like, do you know what's happening right now? We are absolutely playing VR. And I fought the urge to play Half-Life Alyx, and instead I played Stormland. I really like Stormland as a game. It does a couple of things that I'm not a huge fan of. One of them is, I don't even know how to explain it. I'd need to draw a picture to explain it. How can I? All right, let's do this. Imagine a horseshoe. So Stormland works on the principle of islands. So think about like how islands are often set out on a map, like a collection of islands. It's like there's one here, there's one over there, there's one, but they generally form a shape of some kind, even if the islands are dotted around. Let's say, for the example, this is just an example because this isn't the case, that the islands were set out in a horseshoe. Let's say you were on an island on the point of the horseshoe, and the island that you wanted to go to was on the other point, if you get my meaning. So what you want to do is you want to go straight across. Quickest way between 2 points is a straight line. But the way the game works is like, oh no, that's out of the boundary. Instead, you have to do the entire horseshoe to get from top point to other top point. Unfortunately, there are times when you're travelling along in the way that you travel along between islands, and all of a sudden you just fall off the edge of the play area, and that's that. You essentially die. It'd been nice if it sort of gave you here's a barrier. I know it's not the most immersive of things, especially for something that's done in VR, but it would certainly give you the opportunity to correct your course before you're falling off the end of the world. The other thing it does, which is, this is a twofold thing, because this is actually a part of the game. You'll get to an area and you'll be like, oh, there's loads of robots, so I have to shoot this robot, I've got to shoot that robot, I've got to watch out for that guy, there's a flying thing there, there's a guy behind me, I'm dead. Right, okay. And it reloads and you go over to the island and you get there and it's like, right, there's that guy, I've got to get rid of that guy. Oh, there's that flying thing, let's not forget that. There's a guy behind me. I'll use my shield, I'll use this, oh, I'm dead. Do you see where I'm going with this? And it does that. And what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to plan it differently. Come in from a different angle, come in from a different place on the island, come in from a different perspective, use a different weapon, use your shields differently, all of that sort of stuff. But for the majority of it, what you end up doing is just dying over and over and over and over again. So it's a bit like, for fuck's sake, after a while. One of those, isn't it? It's a when it's good, it's very, very good. When it's bad, it's horrid. I really like this game. I really enjoy playing it. It's got some really good VR things. It's a game that does VR well. However, there is that tiny little detractor that, like I say, when it's good, it's great, but those little things that you just like, this is annoying. So that's that. Unfortunately, I had, maybe an hour and a half, maybe. And that was that, and unfortunately, like I say, that was that for the week. As is always, my intention is to play more, possibly get some in tomorrow, possibly Thursday, more likely the weekend. So, that's just reminded me, I should have talked at length about how sick and freaking tired I am of the god-awful halftime shows that they keep ramming down people's throats. It's like, you ever thought about getting like a good performance? You ever thought of that? I want to say something about Super Bowl halftime performances, but I won't. Unfortunately for some, fortunately for others, that is all as far as VR is concerned. Let's talk console computer games. Console computer games, kind of been rattling through some games. So, for example, I finished Hitman 3. So let's talk about Hitman. It was a good game and I enjoyed it. What I can tell you is this. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as Hitman 2. Weirdly though, I can't, very much like, Red 2, I can't tell you anything about Hitman 2. All I can tell you is that I know I really enjoyed it. As far as Hitman 1 is concerned, I remember particularly disliking it, but that was largely to do with the production side of it and the way it was released. Don't drip feed me a game. I have no interest in that. So I think the big impact for Hitman 2 was largely to do with the fact that it was a full game when I got it, and with the whole guided assassination. I was a big fan of that. For one reason or another, I'll probably hold my hands up and say it's probably lazy gameplaying for a man who has played the other Hitman games, quote unquote, properly. I did finish it. I have really enjoyed this trilogy of games. I know I've just slagged off one of them, and I know I've said that I enjoyed the second one more than the third. What I really enjoyed about the third was that it was different. Like, every level, although it had, the same thing, go and kill X person, they just addressed each level as a let's do it different, and you got to respect that. And there would be a part of me that would want to say, it doesn't always work, but for this it did. They tried something new and it worked. Not always the case, not often the case, unfortunately, but this really did work, and I was super happy with it. Like I say, I know for a fact I preferred 2, but that was largely because you've set up a system, this guided assassination type thing, and then you remove it at a certain point in time and force people to play like basically the old school way, which is a bit of an insult, kind of. And the big thing about this, about 3 compared to what I remember 2 being like, was for a guided assassination, it didn't guide you fully. Like, you would have to go and find, I want to use this guided assassination method. Alright, cool. So go and find it then. It's like, I don't know where it is. You tell me. You're supposed to tell me. Go and find it yourself. I know that it's designed to be played multiple times. So I feel, excuse me, I'm just going to have a little leg scratch. I feel that there's a part of me that wants to have a full run, like 1, 2 and 3 back to back. Something that pisses me off about these games is I own all 3 of them. I own 1 digitally because that was the only way to get it when it first came out. I own a physical copy of 2, I can see it from here. I own a physical copy of 3, I can see it from here. It wants you to have all of those games fully installed on your system so that you can play them all through you play them all through the third one. But it doesn't even want that. It wants money from you so you can do that. And I'm like, I own the fucking games. Just let me play them. However, there's a possibility of me installing 1, 2 and playing 1, 2 and 3 back to back. How likely that is depends very much on the way the next couple of months, 2 or 3 months goes, and the game release schedule, of which is looking super bleak. So that was that. I finished Hitman 3. I went back to Watch Dogs Legion to try and do the side missions. I completed one of the side missions that I hadn't done, and then I was like, I don't want to do this right now. So I took a deep breath, a deep inhalation, and I went back to Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Basically, it's one of those, you go, am I prepared to now spend the next 100 hours of gameplay in time with yet another Assassin's Creed game? So I was like, let's get her done. My favourite phrase I've been using in the last week is Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a £25 game. I don't mean money, I mean weight. In a £5 bag. Again, I don't mean money. They have taken the Assassin's Creed franchise, and they have tried to smash every single possible game mechanic they can into one game. It's like, we're going to make a good game. Okay, we're going to make a good game. Okay. How do we do that? Just put everything in it. Put absolutely everything in it. It's like, do you not think that's a bit much? No. That way nobody can criticise us and say that we didn't put everything in it. Do you know what? Putting everything in it is probably not the way to do it, because you're watering stuff down. I'll give you an example. You've got like a camp, like a base. I think early on you take over like a town. So it's like, oh, you can buy properties to improve your town or your village or whatever the hell it is. Alright, I mean that's fair enough. You can buy a stable. You can buy it even though it's already there. Do you want to buy a tattoo shop? Yeah, why not? I'll never use it, but I'll buy a tattoo shop. Cool. It's already there. You just have to, press a button. And then it's like, yay, you own a tattoo shop. Cool. It's things like that you're like, is any of this necessary? I went around a load of the buildings. Once I worked out how to do this, I went around a load of the buildings and I was literally like, I couldn't care less. Like, there was one, it was like, it's like a hunting lodge, I guess. Like, you've unlocked fishing. It's like, do you know something that I'm probably never going to do in this game? Yeah, it's fishing, because I couldn't give less of a shit. I watched a video on it. It was like, you can use the hidden blade still, but it's kind of hidden. So what you have to do is you have to have nothing equipped in that hand, and then you'll automatically use the blade when you do this, that, and the other. So I was like, cool. So I've left the hand in question empty, and up till this point, I haven't done a single hidden blade attack, other than when you walk up behind someone and press a button to assassinate them. So, that's fun. It's the weirdest concept. A game franchise that made this tool synonymous with the franchise, and then got so far and then decided that they hated it. It's like, oh yeah, we hate the hidden blade. Here's an idea. Let's take it out of the game completely, because that's what people want. Now then, all that sounds really negative, but as far as I'm concerned, as an Assassin's Creed game goes, it's fine. Problem I do have, and this isn't with the game as such, this is the first point in time where I have actually started to see the PS4 struggling. And there was a bit the other day where somebody was talking and their mouth wasn't moving and all of this, and I was like, I bet you dollars to donuts that this section probably looks a lot better on the PS5. So that. I am going to go out on a limb and say that I have probably just scratched the surface of this game. Like I say, this will be 100 hours of my life. And the question ultimately is it 100 hours that I'll never get back, sort of thing? So far it's been fine. I've unlocked, various areas. I think I would have rathered that they put less in and then made the stuff that they had put in better, rather than ultimately watering the game down. But I'll keep you posted with that. So that's that, really. Like I say, games are going to get a little bit weird going forward. Having committed to Assassin's Creed, there's probably going to be a lot of Assassin's Creed and not a lot of anything else. So I might have to address that rather than anything you guys need to do. Obviously, I'm going to try and up the VR. So that might be a palate cleanser from a lot of Assassin's Creed. So yeah, that is that. Sorry for being a grumpy git. Sorry if I've rambled because I, don't know what day it is right now. But yes, there we go. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you next time. See ya. So there you go, what do you think to that? Another one done? More time has passed since the last time? That sort of stuff. YouTube watchers? It's cool. YouTube subscribers? Even cooler. And if you're an audio listener, same applies. If you're an audio subscriber, it's the coolest place to be. Whether it's SoundCloud or iTunes, you pick your platform. Everybody should jump over to thecookiecast.com because we've got social media links and email links. How about that? You can get in touch with us. So that's it for this one. Until next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then. Bye!